Look, I need to tell you something that's probably going to change how you think about weight gain forever. You know that voice in your head that says you just need more willpower? That if you tried harder, the weight would come off? Yeah, that voice is wrong, and I can prove it. So today, I'm breaking down 4 scientifically backed reasons why you're gaining weight, no matter how hard you try. And trust me, once you understand what's really going on, everything's going to make a lot more sense. First, your sleep is literally making you hungry. All right, let's start with something that sounds way too simple to be true. Sleep? But before you roll your eyes, hear me out because the science on this is absolutely insane. When you don't get enough sleep, your body does something really sneaky. It reduces leptin, which is the hormone that tells you you're full, and increases ghrelin, which makes you hungry. So your body is literally changing the chemical signals that control your appetite based on how much you sleep. Here's a stat that blew my mind. After just one night of sleep deprivation, ghrelin levels can shoot up by 22%. That's not a small increase. That's your body actively making you hungrier even when you don't need food. But it gets worse. Research shows that acute sleep loss reduces blood concentrations of leptin, and with increased ghrelin, these hormone changes can facilitate weight gain if they persist over extended periods. So if you're chronically sleep deprived, like most of us are, your body is in a constant state of hormonal chaos. Think about it. You're sitting there at 11 p.m., staring at the fridge, trying to resist that snack, wondering why you have no willpower. But it's not about willpower. Your ghrelin is elevated and your leptin is suppressed. You're literally fighting your own biology. And here's what makes me angry. We live in a culture that celebrates sleep deprivation. I'll sleep when I'm dead, and hustle harder, and all that nonsense. But meanwhile, your body is working against you every single day. That late-night Netflix binge, or scrolling through your phone until 2 a.m. It's not just making you tired, it's making you fat. The fix isn't complicated, but it requires a serious mindset shift. You need to treat sleep like medication, because functionally, it is. 7 to 9 hours consistently. Not, I'll catch up on the weekend, but actually prioritizing it every single night. Because until you fix your sleep, nothing else you do is going to work as well as it should. Second, ultra-processed foods are hijacking your brain. Now let's talk about something that honestly terrifies me. Ultra-processed foods. And I'm not just talking about the obvious junk like chips and candy. I'm talking about things that seem healthy. Things you probably ate today thinking you were making a good choice. That protein bar? Ultra-processed. That plant-based burger? Ultra-processed. The yogurt with fruit on the bottom? Yep, ultra-processed. These foods are everywhere, and they're destroying our ability to maintain a healthy weight. Observational studies demonstrate clear positive associations between ultra-processed food intake, weight gain, and obesity in adults. And this is backed by high-quality clinical data, which means researchers actually watched what happened when people ate these foods, and the results were clear. But why are these foods so dangerous? The soft texture and high energy density of ultra-processed foods promote overeating and increase the risk of overweight and obesity. These foods are engineered to bypass your body's natural satiety signals. They're designed to be eaten quickly, to taste amazing, and to leave you wanting more. When was the last time you overate chicken breast or broccoli? You can't really do it. Your body stops you. But give someone a bag of chips, and suddenly they can consume 1,000 calories without even noticing. That's not an accident. That's intentional design. And here's the really scary part. Recent research shows that ultra-processed foods negatively impact the gut microbiota by reducing fiber-fermenting bacteria, which are also associated with an increased risk of obesity. So these foods are actually changing your gut bacteria in ways that make you more prone to weight gain. Your entire microbiome, the ecosystem that regulates everything from digestion to mood, is being fundamentally altered. The solution isn't about being perfect. It's about awareness. Start reading ingredient lists. If there are more than 5 ingredients, or if you can't pronounce them, be suspicious. Try to eat more whole foods, the kind that don't need an ingredient list, because they're just one thing. An apple, a piece of fish, a potato. Your body has been processing these foods for millions of years. It knows what to do with them. Third, chronic stress is turning you into a fat storage machine. Let's talk about stress. The constant, everyday, never-ending stress that most of us have just accepted as normal life. because your body definitely hasn't accepted it as normal, and it's responding in ways that are making you gain weight. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol, and cortisol is useful in the right context. If you're running from danger, you want that surge of energy. The problem is, your body can't tell the difference between actual danger and your boss, sending you an angry email at 9 p.m. So what happens with chronic cortisol elevation? First, it makes you hungry, specifically for high-calorie, high-fat, high-sugar foods. Your body is trying to prepare for a crisis that never actually comes. Second, and this is the really bad part, cortisol directly promotes fat storage, especially visceral fat around your organs. That's the dangerous kind, the kind linked to heart disease and diabetes. But here's where it all connects. Stress disrupts your sleep, which, as we just talked about, messes with your hunger hormones. And when you're stressed and tired, you're way more likely to reach for ultra-processed comfort foods. See the pattern? It's not just one thing. It's a cascade of biological responses that all push you toward weight gain. And let's be honest, telling someone to just relax or try meditation feels pretty useless when you're dealing with actual problems. Money stress, relationship issues, work pressure. You can't just meditate those away. But here's what you can do. Acknowledge that your stress response is real, and it's affecting your body in measurable ways. Start identifying your stress triggers, and maybe address some of them. Set boundaries at work. Turn off your phone an hour before bed. Talk to someone about what's going on. Treat stress like the legitimate health threat that it is. Physical activity is one of the most effective stress reducers we know of. Even a 20-minute walk can lower cortisol levels. Not intense exercise, just movement. Getting outside, changing your environment, giving your brain a break. It sounds simple, but the research backs it up. Fourth, you're sitting more than your body can handle. Let's end with something that affects almost everyone watching this: sedentary behavior. The amount of time you spend sitting every single day. I know what you're thinking. You have a desk job. You don't have a choice. But here's the thing that research is showing us. When you sit for extended periods, your metabolism literally slows down. Your body goes into energy conservation mode. Enzymes that break down fat stop working. Your insulin response becomes sluggish, meaning the food you eat is more likely to get stored as fat. And this happens even if you exercise. You can hit the gym for an hour and then sit for the next 15 hours you're awake. And that sitting still causes damage. Studies examining weight gain from early to middle adulthood show associations with major health outcomes later in life, including heart disease, cancer, and mortality. But here's the good news, and this is really important. You don't need to become a gym rat to fix this. You just need to interrupt your sitting. Stand up every 30 minutes. Take a 2-minute walk. Do some stretches at your desk. These micro movements throughout the day can actually have a bigger impact than one solid workout. Research shows that people who accumulate movement throughout the day, even if it's just walking more or standing while working, have better weight management outcomes than people who exercise once but are otherwise sedentary. It's about total movement, not just structured exercise. Stand up to take phone calls. Walk while you think through problems. Stretch while watching TV. These aren't workouts. They're just movement, the kind your body was designed for over millions of years of evolution. Your body isn't meant to sit in a chair for 8 hours straight. It's meant to move. So there you have it. 4 real, scientifically backed reasons why you're gaining weight that have nothing to do with willpower. Your sleep is disrupted, making you constantly hungry. You're eating ultra-processed foods designed to make you overeat. Chronic stress is flooding you with cortisol and making you store fat. And you're sitting way too much, slowing your entire metabolism down. This isn't about perfection. It's about understanding. Once you understand what's happening in your body, you can start making changes that actually stick. Not because you're trying harder, but because you're working with your biology instead of fighting against it. If this made sense to you, let me know in the comments. And if someone you know has been beating themselves up about their weight, share this with them. Sometimes just knowing it's not your fault is the first step to fixing the problem.